Khan, I praise to the Most High. Hey, shalom, 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 brother Kazak with Sons of Zion Houston along with.
Brother Kasadia, Sons of Zion, Houston.
Brother Ash, Sons of Zion, Houston.
All praise to the Most High. Welcome to another episode of Faith by Works, where we study a commandment week in and week out, and really embrace the exhortation on perfecting our walk with the Most High God in deed and in truth. Right? A lot of times we go out into the highways and hedges and we, have godly discourse with our brothers and sisters, right, who are walking in ignorance, and they can't tell us five commandments, right? And which is fine, which is completely understandable. But what we've done is, through the Spirit of the Most High God and His allowance, we've prepared a series on YouTube to teach a commandment week in and week out, right? Along with exhortations as well. Okay. All right. So the title of today's lesson is Preparing and Protecting Thy Soul. Right. Last week, we had an episode that went into the wiles of the devil, right? The different devices of Satan that keeps us stagnant and moving forward in his truth, right? There are many different things, whether it be, drug use, whether it be lust, pride. The list goes on, all the way to another country and back, right? But what we've done today and this week is to actually, give you the understanding on how to prepare and protect your soul from these wicked devices, right? How to prepare and to protect your soul so you can move forward, so you can love the Most High God like we know that you can, right? So let's kick it off with the book of Colossians chapter 3 and verse 17, and it reads, "And whatsoever ye do in word or deed, do all in the name of the Lord Yahweh Shah, giving thanks to Yahweh the Father by him." All right, so everything that we do is by Hashem Yahweh Shah, right? By way of the Son of the Most High God, right? That's why in the Paleo Hebrew, we face the east and say, "Call Lord Yahweh by Hashem wa Malak Yahweh Shah," which is in the Paleo Hebrew saying, giving all honor and praises to the Most High God by way of His Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. We want to give all honor, all right, to the Lord by way of His Son, without any vainglory, without putting ourselves first. We want to prioritize and give great reverence, right, in the order of which is due. All right, this is the book of James, chapter 2, and verse 14. "What does it profit, my brethren, though a man say he hath faith and have not works? Can faith save him? So by simply prophesying with your lips, is this enough? Is this sufficient enough? Right? Can we just simply say, look, I had, I fear God. I got faith in God. I got a relationship with Him. Right? Well, it's not enough because we will be judged by our works, the fruits of our spirit. You understand? Verse 17 in the same chapter, it says, "Even so, faith, if it have not works, is dead, being alone. Ye a man say, Thou hast faith, and I have works. Show me thy faith without thy works, and I will show thee my faith by my works." So we show forth and we prove, all right, our faith, our reverence, all right, and our fear and our love for the Most High God by way of our works, by way of our actions, because we know that love is an action word. First John chapter 3 and verse 18 says, "My little children, let us not love in word, neither in tongue, but in deed and in truth." So we understand that there has to be a balance. Okay, you cannot have works without faith, and you cannot push forth works, right, without faith. Right, you have to have both, and you have to endure, right, so that we can see the throne of glory. You understand? So, like I said, the title of today's lesson is Preparing and Protecting Thy Soul, right, from those wicked devices, Satan's devices, if you will. We're going to be stating the premise of Ephesians chapter 6, and I'm going to start at verse 11. And it reads, "Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil." What are the wiles of the devil? It's those devices that we brought out in last week's class. "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood in the physical, right, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." Right? So when we go to the book of Psalms, chapter 83 from the top, we see how all of these different nations have gathered, right, hand in hand, and formulated a strategic manner and making sure that we go up, keeping us from getting the kingdom, the ultimate reward, if you will, right? But this week we're going to really jump into the whole armor of God and how we need to put on that protection, right? Put on that protection from all of these different things that's being thrown at us. Okay. Right. Brother Ash is going to really bring out and tap in with great similitudes to get you to understand. Right. And then Brother Casadia, right, so beautifully and eloquently is going to tell you the importance of how it's important, man, to really, grasp a relationship with your Lord, your cornerstone, your Redeemer, Yahweh Shah. Right. So we encourage you to muster, but think yourselves in this very, very moment, right? Me and my brother Yeshaya, right? We love to, kind of use that scene from what's that with Will Smith and his son, After Earth, right? There's a particular scene in that movie where he tells Gatai, take a knee. He's telling his son to take a knee, gather yourselves, okay? So in this moment, Israel, right? Observe how desolate we are as a people. Look at our current condition, mental, physical, right? Emotional, the whole rundown. And gather yourselves, bethink yourselves so that you can think clearly and think logically, right? This is the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 4, and I'm going to start at verse 7 in the NLT. And it says, we now have this light shining in our hearts, but we ourselves are like fragile clay jars containing this great treasure. This makes it clear that our great power is from God, now from ourselves. We are pressed on every side by troubles, but we are not crushed. We are perplexed, but not driven to despair. We are hunted down, but never abandoned by God. We get knocked down, but we are not destroyed. We are not destroyed right now. We just simply have to bethink ourselves. All right. We have to become a new creature. We have to adapt to a pure heart, a pure spirit. We have to destroy the old man and put on the new man. Right. We have to come unto the Lord as a newborn babe. Clean your slate of all previous understanding. Gather yourselves. All right. And turn over a new leaf. We are not destroyed. Okay. We're destroyed mentally and spiritually because we're tapping into a power that doesn't belong to us. And that's the ways of these other nations. But what we have to do is remember what Sirach chapter 17 and verse 11. Okay. That the law of the Most High God is our heritage and he gave it to us. And we're going to utilize that to put on that whole armor of God and protect ourselves and prepare ourselves and turn over that new leaf. But you got it, Brother Kasadi.
Con. So again, as the brother was bringing out, we're gonna pick up from where we left off, so to speak, last week, by showing how we can overcome the wiles of the devil, right? As Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 11. Let me get it out. As it reads, it's the book of Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 11. It says, put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil, right? For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places, right? So at the end of the day, you have to understand, first and foremost, where our help comes from, right? And we're going to go into that armor here in this lesson. But first and foremost, we have to understand where our help comes from, right? And our help comes from the Most High. At the end of the day, there's nothing that we can do with our own might, our own power, our own understanding that's going to win this spiritual battle that we are in, right? There's nothing, there's no amount of weightlifting, no amount of meditating, saying no amount of anything you can think of that you can do personally in order to do this battle in the spirit, right? At the end of the day, it's all of the Most High. So our most important ally is the Most High, and we have to understand these things, and we have to understand that cleaving unto him, the same way a baby, right, will cleave to his parents, right? When he feels scared, that's going to be the trigger for the Most High to do what any parent would do for that baby, right? And that's protect them, right? So we started off with the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4. I'm going to start from the top, right? It says, "Now therefore hearken, O Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you, for to do them, that ye live, and go in and possess the land which the Lord God of your fathers giveth you. Ye shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall ye diminish aught from it, that ye may keep the commandments of the Lord your God which I commanded you. Your eyes have seen what the Lord did because of Baal Peor. For all the men that followed Baal Peor, the Lord thy God had destroyed them from among you. But ye that did cleave unto the Lord your God are alive, every one of you this day." Right? So again, just like a parent, right? When that child cleaves to that parent is going to ward off all threats from that baby, right? That parent is going to do whatever he or she needs to do in order to keep that baby safe, in order to make sure that baby prospers and flourishes, right? And a lot of the issues that we go through today, right? Actually, all of them, if you want to be honest, all stem from the fact that we did not cleave into the Most High. We go into it week in and week out on the highways and byways. We bring out Deuteronomy 28. Well, verse 1 tells us the blessings of cleaving unto the Most High. And verse 28 tells us the curses for not cleaving unto the Most High, right? And all of these curses that we see upon our people today, all because we turned our backs on the Most High God. The opposite of cleaving is turning your back on the Most High God, right? Let me see. Get another one in Deuteronomy. Chapter 11, verse 22, right? It says, "For if ye shall diligently keep all these commandments, which I command you, to do them, to love the Lord your God, to walk in all his ways, and to cleave unto him, then will the Lord drive out all these nations from before you, and ye shall possess greater nations and mightier than yourselves," right? So he's telling you right there that this fight is stronger than what you can handle. This fight is stronger than you. You need me. You need the Most High. You need to cleave unto me, because I'm the one that's going to fight for you. The Lord, Brother Gabar brought it out in class Thursday. He says the Lord is a man of war, right? In the book of Psalms, David said he teaches my hands to war, right? At the end of the day, the fight is not ours. The fight is the Most High's, right? So why not lean into the power that's given us, right? And that power is the Most High, right? That's the word God means power. That's a whole nother breakdown for a whole nother day, right? And I'm gonna get one more precept just for sake of time, and I'm gonna pass it. The book of Romans, chapter 12. Let me see. Go ahead and get the point. Verse 9. It says, "Let love be without dissimulation. Abhor that which is evil. Cleave to that which is good." Right? And there is none good, as Yahweh told us in Matthew chapter 19. There is none good but the Most High. Right? So with that, cleave unto the Most High, and I yield.
All points, brother Kasadia. So I'm gonna go to back to it. I'm gonna go to Sirach 2:1, and then what this is, of course, a classic that we know of. "My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation." Right. So it's telling you right there to prepare your soul for temptation. Right. So it's like the moment you decide to pick a side and do the work for the Most High, you're going to be attacked, right? You're going to be attacked like never before, right? We already identified in the previous class the many forms that Satan will use to come at you, to distract you, to attack you with, right? So we have to prepare in the same way, like I look at it as like you prepare for a game, right? Prepare for a boxing match because we are at a battle. We are in battle. It's like so when you're in competition, you will put effort into properly preparing to battle your opponent, right? So we have to use that same method, that same strategy to apply it to this, right? So when you prepare, you're going to do what? You're going to get in shape. You're going to get your wind up for endurance. You're going to be doing cardio. You're going to be studying film, scrimmaging, etc. Right? All because you want to recognize what you're facing, right? So let me go get Psalms 1. We're going to go to 2. And it says, "But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and his law doth he meditate day and night." Right? So this Psalm is 1 and 2, right? So you have to take pleasure in studying, right? And it's a delight for us, right, to do so. What he has to do, right? It's like a good book, like when you're reading and you don't want to put it down. That's how we have to be when we're studying, right? So you have to study the same way they would study film. We have to study these laws, statutes, and commandments. We have to study this book because that's where all our information is, right? So this is how we're going to be able to see how our opponents is going to come at you, right? Just like when you study tape, you'll see the body language of how a receiver sets up, or you see the body language of a running back when he gets in his stance, right? So it's always been known that um, Deion Sanders, he always said he studied film all the way up until when they in the locker room before the game would start, right? He'd been there studying film to watch the receivers, see how they stand, so he can make sure that they don't get the best of him, right? Now he will have an advantage. Same thing we have to do with these scriptures. We have to study, 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 meditate in the scriptures day and night. So we're able to recognize Satan's devices and like hopefully they don't get the best of us, right? So um let me go to another one. Psalm 119:15. Let me see. "I will meditate in thy precepts and have respect unto thy ways. I will delight myself in thy statutes. I will not forget thy word." So that's Psalms 119:15 through 16, right? So we got to remember what is being taught, what we're reading, and we won't forget that. So we have to apply that, right? So that way you'll be able to recognize once again what Satan's devices are coming at you. What's one of his main devices, or even for us men, is a pretty woman, right? She may be coming at you. It might be in the store, it might be in DMs, it might be on the street saying something, whatever she's trying to do, right? But it's like you're able to recognize certain things that she may be doing, so you won't be easily persuaded, right? And it won't help you studying the scripture will help you recognize certain things so you won't stumble, so you won't fall, so you won't crash out, so you won't like get beside yourself and do things you're not supposed to, right? I'm going to get an example, give you a classic, right? We're going to go to Sirach 25 and 21, and it says, "Stumble not at the beauty of a woman, and desire her not for pleasure." So we're not going to stumble at the woman, meaning like lose yourself, right? Meaning like going against everything you're supposed to do just because she looks good. Nowadays, a lot of people like to give certain women certain leeway just because she looks good. And the Bible tells you not to stumble. Now, the stumble is like you won't lose your way. You won't give your strength to a woman. You're going to stand whole because you're the man. You're the head of the household, or you're just a man in general if you're single or whatnot, right? That's a tough device that Satan will send at you. A lot of people can't go to that. We'll give another example of this being able to recognize that by studying. So if you go to Proverbs 6, go to Proverbs 6 and 23. "For the commandment is a lamp, right? And the law is light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life," right? So the commandment is like your light. Like what does the lamp do? And the light do is like it gives you ideas, gives you it helps guide and direct you where you about to move. So that's what these commandments are. That's what this Bible is for us, right? And it says to keep thee from the evil woman, from the flattering of the tongue of a strange woman. Lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids, right? So just because she might bat an eyelash, she might try to say some smooth words to you, and you thinking, man, she's feeling me. It could be true. At the same time, it could be something else. But the point is, when you study these things, when you met with these, when you face with that, it can prepare you to how you should deal with it. Hopefully, after that, you'll use your discernment on what to do. Right? Let me give you one last one that has to do with like in today's times. Right? It's a little different playing field, as they say. So we're going to go to Proverbs 29:3. Whoso loveth wisdom rejoiceth his father, but he that keepeth company with harlots spendeth his substance. So even nowadays, you spending time with these harlots and whatnot, you're going to be coming off with something. You're going to be spending your wealth, your riches, right? Even nowadays, they want you to cash at them for you to tell them their name or for you to do anything with them, to say hi. They want to know about your money. So if you want to get into that, then you're going to have to. The Bible tells you you may be spending some money dealing with certain harlots, but I rest with that.
Mighty points, right? Right. So the brother was bringing out how we have to, really, really tap into the preparation and being watchful, right? He said watching film, right? He used a similar to the watching film before a football game, kind of watching the previous bout, right? That you're standing against in a boxing match, right, in a couple months, right? Watching film, studying, right? And what we have to do is we have to study the science of these wiles of the devil, right? So we're going to go to First Peter chapter 5 and verse 8 in the NLT, and it reads, "Stay alert, watch out for your great enemy, the devil. He prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. Stand firm against him and be strong in your faith. Remember that your family of believers all over the world is going through the same kind of suffering you are." So it's very plainly put, right? We have to be watchful, right? And be vigilant. We have to be aware in all ways, shapes, or form of how, Satan is trying to enter in. You have to understand that we're trying to keep the commandments to the best of our ability. We're trying to keep the high holy feast days that the Most High God has commanded us to keep, right? And we're trying to, bring forth this truth to those who are ignorant to it. And on the flip side of that, Satan, the Most High is allowing Satan, right, to keep this from happening to prove our endurance. You understand? So when you're trying to keep, right, the high holy feast days of the Most High God, you have people very closest to you that's going to make you feel guilty of that, right? That are saying that's old, that's done away with. You don't have to do that. And will choose to celebrate and keep the customs of the very same person or people, the nations that have held us in captivity throughout the many, many years of our history as a people, right? So when you go forth to putting the blunt down, right, and leaning on the Most High God through your times of anxiety, depression, and things of that sort, right? It's going to be so many opportunities for you to go cop a sack. So many dispensaries that you're going to pass up on the way to camp. And you're going to be thinking about that, right? The Most High God is going to allow Satan, right, to prove your faith in him. You understand? So when you're trying to bring forth this truth in the streets and the highways and hedges, you're going to have many people that's going to scoff and be kicking up the bricks, right? Unappreciative of what you're doing, not knowing what you're doing, ignorant to the fact that you're trying to build the nation up and serving the Lord in deed and in truth, instead of allowing them to just go off and continue to be desolate. So on the flip side of everything, you must be watchful and be hip to, right, if you will, all of the flip sides of what you're doing, all of the good deeds that you're doing. Be watchful, be vigilant, right, and be sober minded. All right. We're gonna go to Christ, right? Christ is teaching of Luke chapter 21, and I'm gonna give verse 33. Okay, start at verse 33, and it reads, "Heaven and earth shall pass away, but my words shall not pass away. And take heed to yourselves, lest at any time your hearts be overcharged with surfeiting and drunkenness and cares of this life, and so that day come upon you unawares. For as a snare shall it come on all them that dwell on the face of the whole earth. Watch ye therefore, and pray always, that ye may be accounted worthy to escape all these things that shall come to pass, and to stand before the Son of Man. Very, very plainly put, right? Christ is teaching us to be watchful of our souls, man, because Satan desires to have us. He's constantly trying to sift us out. So we have to constantly, right, be watchful of these devices. Okay, be aware, be alert. Okay, don't just be hanging with any and everybody. Figure out the motive behind the meeting. Okay, family want to link up. They want to do a celebration. Why are we celebrating? What are we celebrating for? Right? What's going on? What's taking place? Why is there a kickback taking place? Somebody's birthday? We can't do that. We have to be watchful and be vigilant. We can't just be naive. Like, oh, y'all doing something? I'm coming. Next thing you know, you walking in the door and it's confetti everywhere. It's candles being blown out and they singing and doing rituals for birthday celebrations. You have to be watchful, be vigilant, be alert, not just naive and just moving about, right, without a care in the world, because Satan exists, okay? And he's very strategic, conniving, and he desires to sift you like wheat, as the scripture says. Reading on, it says what? Salakia. No, I'm gonna go over to the next chapter. We're gonna do Luke chapter 22, and I'm gonna get verse 31. It says, and the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan has desired to have you, that he may sift you as wheat. Right? That's the scripture that I was referring to. Okay, he's steady trying to get us separated, right, and separating us from our God, right? And we understand that these nations that the Most High God refers to as spittle in the scriptures, all right, wants to sift us from that. They are the synagogue of Satan. Okay. Now let's go to what the brother was tapping into, Sirach chapter 2. I'm gonna give verse 2, right? And it reads, set thy heart aright and constantly adore. Right. So you have to set your heart aright as you go through these different things, right? Be focused on the sincerity of loving the Lord and doing what the Lord told you to do. That's how you set your heart aright. Constantly be focused, okay? Because as you go down this path, okay, it's going to be a lot of things happening, right, in your peripheral vision. We was having godly discourse with a sister last night at camp, right? It was very, very hard for her to focus, but because you had people rolling by through the streets of downtown with loud music, right? Issachar kind of got 6 6x9s right behind his head, rolling through a single cab. Right, you got Jake riding through downtown, popping willies on dirt bikes or whatnot. Okay, you got Eve twerking in the street, celebrating the wicked Valentine's Day, dressing half naked, wearing fishnet as apparel. Right, all of these different things are happening in her peripheral, and she can't focus. That's how it is. That's how it's going to be in this truth. So it says, set your heart aright. It says, and constantly endure. Just how Satan is always working, we have to constantly be vigilant and steadfast and working and doing the work of the Lord. Right? Reading on, it says, and make not haste in time of trouble. What is that time of trouble? When things get hard. Right? The brother started talking, it's going to get into how, it's kind of like working out. That's how you got to prepare your soul, prepare your spirit, right? And protect your soul by working out spiritually. Studying like the brother was going into, okay? And when you're doing that, right, why it says make not haste in time of trouble. When you're in that gym, who goes to the gym and doesn't expect, all right, to feel some type of discomfort, some type of burn, some type of pain? When you're stretching your muscles out, it feels like your skin is finna rip. Right? When you do bench press, it feels like your chest is about to cave in. Right? When you're doing curls, right? Feels like your arms feel like noodles. You're supposed to expect discomfort and pain in this thing. in this truth, because your adversary, the devil tries to have you, he desires to have you, man. That we brought out in Luke. So it says, make not haste in time of trouble. Don't run. Don't punk out. Stand your ground continuously, right? Walk in the faith. Okay. We get one more and then I'm going to pass it, right? Sirach chapter 2 and verse 17. Moving down to verse 17, it says, they that fear the Lord will prepare their hearts and humble their souls in his sight, saying, we will fall into the hands of the Lord and not into the hands of men, right? And that automatically makes me go to what? Colossians 2 and 8, right? How we're not supposed to follow after what was it? Acts 3 and 19, right? Not following after men, right? But following after the most high God, being steadfast, right? It says, we will fall into the hands of the Lord and not in the hands of men, for as his majesty is, so is his mercy. You understand? So I much rather fall in the hands of the Lord than the hands of men, because these men, these other nations are going to be thrust through, as Isaiah 8 and 20 talks about, right? Starting at verse 13, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, right? These nations are going to be thrust through in that time of judgment. And if you're going after them, going after their ways, trying to live like them, and have the prosperity of this world and the wickedness of this world, and being conformed to these devices, allowing these devices to win, guess what? You're going to be thrust through along with them, right? So fall in the hands of the Lord. And with that, I yield.
King, mighty points brought out by both brothers, man. I'm just gonna let me back on what brothers was already talking about, right? Being that steadfastness, right? What type of warrior is the most steadfast on the battlefield, right? What type of warrior can take the most amount of punishment, the most blows, right? That's the one that has the armor, right? If a knight went up against a ninja, right? You know, ninjas, they kind of got cloth on. That's all they really wearing, right? But a knight has on all this metal, the chain mail under the metal, right? The knight probably not going to move as freely as he may think he can move, right? But at the end of the day, he's going to be impenetrable by that ninja. Meanwhile, the ninja is going to be able to be pierced by those fiery darts, right? So again, it all goes back to, again, putting on that armor of the Most High God, right? And cleaving unto him, right? And let me get this real quick. Because Yahushua tells us it plainly, the book of Luke, chapter 6, in verse 40. I'm going to start at verse 46, right? It says, and why call ye me Lord, Lord, and do not the things which I say, right? Again, you cleave unto the Lord by keeping his law, statutes, and commandments. That's the brother was bringing out, right? It's not going to be an easy thing, as Kazak was bringing out. It's nobody can expect to go to the gym and not feel any type of discomfort at first, right? As Ash was bringing up, right? But it's going to take a work. You have to put forth works in order to show that faith, in order to proclaim that you believe in the Most High. You proclaim it with your actions, right? This whole class is called Faith by Works, right? We go into it every single week, James 2 and 17, right? Verse 47, it says, whosoever cometh to me and heareth my sayings and doeth them, I will show you to whom he is like, right? This is the person that's cleaving unto the Most High, right? What does he look like, right? It says, he is like a man which built an house and dig deep and laid the foundation on a rock. And when the flood arose, that stream beat vehemently upon that house, right? So this is like a man that's putting on that armor, right? He's putting on a chainmail. He's put on that helmet. He's put on that breastplate. He got his sword, right? And now he's out there on the battlefield. And here comes the enemy, right? And the enemy's attacking, right? But what happens, right? And it says, the stream beat vehemently upon that house and could not shake it, for it was founded upon a rock, right? But what's the flip side? It says, but he that heareth and doeth not is like a man that without a foundation built a house upon the earth, against which the stream did beat vehemently, and immediately it fell, and the ruin of that house was great, right? So a person that didn't take the time to put on that armor, right, to study, as Brother Ash was bringing out, to ingratiate yourself in the words of the Most High, right, in order to first off get knowledge. Hold on, let me get this real quick, because it goes. My brain just jumped. Salaki. Book of Isaiah, chapter 33, right? Verse 6. It says, and wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of that time, and strength of salvation, right? What is that helmet in Ephesians? Salvation, right? And the fear of the Lord is his treasure, right? At the end of the day, the person that's not taking the time to do all these things that the brothers was laying out, this is a person that's not battle ready, but going out to the battle. At the end of the day, the battle is going to come to each and every one of our doorstep, right? Who is your help? Who is your power? Who are you cleaving to, right? If it's not through wisdom and knowledge, if it's not through sincerity and in truth, are you really ready for the battle? Can you really withstand the blows of the enemy? I think not, right? Get the book of Jeremiah, classic, chapter 17. I'm sorry, verse 5. It says, thus saith the Lord, cursed be the man that trusted in man and maketh flesh his arm, and whose heart departed from the Most High, right? Like the analogy you brought out earlier, it's like your children, right? If you have a child that's constantly disobeying, right, constantly disrespecting you, and he's done that from his youth all the way up, right? At some point in time, a lot of good parents will let that child fall flat on his face in order for him to learn the error of his ways, right? A lot of parents will see their young sons acting up. They saw it through his daycare years, through his kindergarten years, up through elementary, up through high school, and eventually he's a young adult now. And now he's getting arrested for doing something dumb. But he's always had this pattern of reckless behavior. Eventually, a lot of good parents will say, you know what? I'm just gonna let you sit and do your little time. Maybe this will help you understand what we've been trying to teach you this whole time. Maybe this will help open your eyes to learn the error of your ways, right? Verse 6, it says, for he shall be like the heat in the desert and shall not see when good cometh, right? A lot of people, when they want to live this reckless lifestyle, right, all they can do is wreck, right? So when the Lord brings something good into their life, just like Balaam and his donkey, when his donkey kept falling on him, right? He couldn't see the good that was happening, right? He couldn't see. Hold on. I promise, brothers, I wasn't gonna be too long-winded, so I'm gonna try to get this real quick. Let me see. It's the book of Numbers, chapter 22, in verse 22. The Most High's anger was kindled because he went, and the angel of the Lord stood in the way for an adversary against him. Now he was riding upon his ass, and his two servants were with him, right? So this is the account of Balaam going to meet with the king of Moab at the time, at which time the Lord had already told him, no, don't go, right? But then the king of Moab sent more temptation his way, a greater amount of temptation his way. And so Balaam felt the need to ask again. And Most High was like, you know what, go ahead and go, right? Because he was tempted to sell his own people out, right? And it says, now he was riding upon his ass, and his two servants were with him. And the ass saw the angel of the Lord standing in the way, and his sword drawn in his hand. And the ass turned aside out of the way and went into the field. And Balaam smote the ass to turn her into the way. But the angel of the Lord stood in the path of the vineyards, and a wall being on this side and a wall on that side. And when the ass saw the angel of the Lord, she thrust herself unto the wall and crushed Balaam's foot against the wall, and he smote her again. Right? The ass is seeing, hey, there's danger right here in front of your face. Right? The ass is doing something good. But when you live in that reckless lifestyle, that reckless behavior, all you can do is wreck. Right? This donkey is literally trying to save Balaam's life, and his response is to beat on the donkey. Right? Verse 26, and the angel of the Lord went further and stood in a narrow place where was no way to turn either to the right hand or to the left. And when the ass saw the angel of the Lord, she fell down under Balaam, and Balaam's anger was kindled, and he smote the ass with a staff. And the Lord opened the mouth of the ass, and she said unto Balaam, what have I done unto thee, that thou hast smitten me these 3 times? And Balaam said unto the ass, because thou hast mocked me, I would there were a sword in my hand, for now would I kill thee. Right? So these reckless individuals, all they are self-gratifying, right? All they can see is the power within their own hands, and all they can see is their own glory and their own majesty, right? They're not trusting in the Lord, right? We bring out on the highways and byways all the time, Proverbs 20 and 24, man's goings are the Lord, right? The Lord is in control of every single thing, but a person who's living recklessly will never take heed to that, right? They're only worried about their feelings, their emotions, and that gives all types of leeway to Satan to attack you, right? It's like at that point, Satan is playing basketball and the hoop is the size of an Olympic swimming pool, right? He's making every shot. He's sinking every shot, right? Verse 30, it says, and the ass said unto Balaam, am I not thine ass, upon which thou hast ridden ever since I was thine unto this day? Was I ever wont to do so unto thee? And he said, nay. Again, right? Jeremiah, it says they don't see when good cometh, right? And I'm gonna go ahead and rest on that. We understand after you read on in Numbers 22, Balaam ended up seeing the angel that was right there ready to kill him, right? And so he started understanding. But for sake of time, let's get through this. Book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, and I'm going to read first verse 6. It says, for he shall be like the heath in the desert, and shall not see when good cometh, but shall inhabit the parched places in the wilderness, and a salt land, and not inhabited. Blessed is the man that trusteth in the Lord, and whose hope the Lord is. Right? This is the flip side of that coin. This is the one that's going to cleave unto the Most High, that's going to turn away from living that reckless lifestyle. Right? He says, for he shall be as a tree planted by the waters, and that spreadeth out her roots by the river, and shall not see when heat cometh, but her leaf shall be green, and shall not be careful in the year of drought, neither shall cease from yielding fruit. Right? This is somebody that's going to be protected, right? And we understand that there are going to be those that are going to be martyred for this truth. But at the end of the day, they're going to feel that comfort of the Most High. They're not going to, hold on, let me find this precept real quick. Boom. Just to kind of prove my point, right? The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 8, and verse number 5, right? It says, whoso keepeth the commandment shall feel no evil thing, and a wise man's heart discerneth both time and judgment, right? At the end of the day, the ones that's going to cleave unto the Most High, they're not going to feel that evil thing. It doesn't matter if everything is taken away from them. It doesn't matter that all sorts of matter of temptation and evil happens to them, like the brothers were bringing out in the book of Sirach, chapter 2, like what was happening to Job, right? What happened to Stephen in the book of Acts, chapter 7. Right? It does not matter. These things are not going to affect the one that's going to cleave unto the Most High, because at the end of the day, they're going to be raised back up incorruptible anyway, right? And wisdom and knowledge being the stability of thy times and strength of that salvation, these people understand this, right? That's why you see accounts like the family in 2 Maccabees chapter 7, right? Where they were literally all tortured and put to death, all for their testimony, and they stayed upright, keeping the commandments of the Lord, right? Real quick, since I said Job, let me bring out Job. Book of Job, chapter 22, verse 15. It says, hast thou marked the old way, which wicked men have trodden, which were cut down out of time, whose foundation was overflown with a flood, which said unto God, depart from us, and what can the Almighty do for them? Right? So again, departing from the Most High, telling the Most High to depart from you, that's something that's leading to destruction, point blank, period. Right? Verse 18 says, yet he filled their houses with good things, but the counsel of the wicked is far from me. The righteous see it and are glad, and the innocent laugh them to scorn, right? So a righteous man is going to see the good things, right, that the wicked, the reckless are not going to see, right? It says, whereas our substance is not cut down, but the remnant of them the fire consumeth. Acquaint now thyself with him, and be at peace. Thereby good shall come unto thee, right? Receive, I pray thee, the law from his mouth, and lay up his words in thine heart. If thou return to the Almighty, thou shalt be built up. Thou shalt put away iniquity far from thy tabernacles. Then shalt thou lay up gold as dust, and the gold of Ophir as the stones of the brooks, right? It's all, everything should be done decently in order. First off, you have to return to the Most High, keeping the things that he told you to keep. Again, like that child. Once that child is back into obedience of his parents, then that parent is going to do everything in their power to protect that child, right? That same young man that grew up being bad, well, once he reached that adolescence, or once he reached that young adulthood, and his parents saw that he was trying to turn his life around, right? That parent, they're not going to let him just sit in the jail cell. They're going to say, you know what? No, he's been trying his best to do good, and he just got a bad break this time around, right? I'm going to do what I can. I'm going to try to bail him out, right? This is the relationship, right? It's a parent-child dynamic, right? And cleaving unto your parent is where you're going to get that power, is where your strength is going to come from, is where your hope is going to come from, right? That's where it ultimately it's going to strengthen your faith, right? And yeah, with that, I yield.
Mighty points, man. Mighty points. Once again, side is a tough act to follow, man. But I'm gonna keep going. Yeah, I was saying endurance, right? Is getting your cardio up, right? So you can last in the battle, right? In the fight or in the game, right? So fasting will help you endure, right? It's getting your spiritual cardio up, right? To help get those spirits off you, to help keep them up off you, because um we know that you're getting your wind up. One second, slide. So we know getting your wind up is spirits off you and whatnot. So we getting your wind up is not always gonna be comfortable. It's gonna be hard at times, right? So putting those things away so you don't succumb to those devices at the moment will be part of the fasting, will be part of you preparing before you get into battle, right? So just like you prepare your food before you cook it. If you're making gumbo, you're gonna get your sausage out, you're gonna get the okra out, you're gonna get all your ingredients out, lay them out there, the chicken, before you make the meal, right? So fasting will be looked at in the same way, right? For your endurance for this, though, right? Let me get Sirach 32 and 20. And I'm going to say, go not in the way wherein thou mayest fall and stumble, not among the stones, right? So that's just basically saying, don't go in the place to where you're going to stumble. So before you even go to, like, if you know you have a problem with women or lusting, you're not going to go into a strip club. My brother brought out beforehand that they're going to be out there dancing in a way they're not supposed to be, half naked, if not naked. It's only going to be a lot of bad influences going to be in there. And you know you're going to go in there and you're going to fall to those, right? You're going to succumb to those devices, right? Not taking your phone into the bathroom, right? That can help you in more than one way. So you don't be mindless scrolling, wasting time. That's another device, part of the idleness. And then now you landed on certain pictures and images, which can land you onto certain sites. And we all know what can happen with that, right? So we need to go into that. So preparing for that is not to even go down that street, down that alley, down that avenue, right? We don't even want to be a part of that in that vicinity, in that atmosphere. So that's one way that you will help prepare yourself for Satan's devices, not even going there, right? Don't even go. Don't even make your way over there. Don't even step foot towards that way, right? Um, and we know even that goes into people, right? So we can go to Proverbs 4 and 14. And it says, enter not into the path of the wicked and go not in the way of evil men, right? So we know we're not going to go into the way of evil men, right? That's going to help you prepare. Don't even go that way. You see a group of people, they over there, they may be smoking, they trying to holler at the women and do different things. We're not on that. We're on a different type of hype right now, right? We're trying to live right for the most high, right? So we're not going to go down that way to the evil men. And once again, that's a Satan's device. We know smoking is going to be what? Defiling the temple. So we don't need to do that. So fasting from that will help you endure to not have to succumb to Satan's devices when it comes to that, right? So, but we also know fasting cleanses you, right? What happens when you're sick, right? You don't eat. You don't take in certain foods. You want to have fluids because you want to get out certain toxins, right, out your body. So you're fasting, right? And fasting also is going to help you spiritually, right? Because you're afflicting yourself, right? You're trying to be at a lower state. You're not taking in any type of negative things. You're not transgressing the law when you're fasting, right? Whether you're not eating, not drinking. Like I said, maybe the phone, you're fasting from social media. So you don't be around, so you don't think about certain negative images, negative thoughts, right? So that way, when you pray to the Most High, He's able to hear your prayer, right? Out of a pure heart, because you're trying to help, you're trying to pray to the Most High to help you. Hey, Lord, before I go out there today, please steer me away from any type of temptations that I may fall to. If you have a problem with smoking, you're trying to come into the truth. Hey, I don't want to be around nobody that's smoking. Please, Lord, guide my steps in a good way to go around certain ways to give me a detour, right? Give me like construction on that. Let me go somewhere else, right? So I'm gonna give a few examples of fasting and praying. That way it'll help. We're gonna go to Joel 2 and 12. Therefore, also now, saith the Lord, turn ye even to me with all your heart, and with fasting, and with weeping, and with mourning. So you still got to turn to the Most High with fasting, weeping, and mourning because you're afflicting yourself. You want to be able to cry out to Him. You want to let Him know, hey, I'm in this lower state. I need help with this. I want to avoid certain things, right? Let's get another example of what they did. We're gonna go to the book of Ezra, chapter 8. There we go. We go to Ezra 8, 21, and it says, then I proclaimed a fast there at the river of Ahava, that we might afflict ourselves before our God, to seek of him a right way for us and for our little ones and for all our substance, right? And you jump down to verse 23, It says, so we fasted and besought our God for this, and he was entreated of us, right? So it's like you want to be able to fast so you can come to the Most High, because we know that he does not hear a sinner's prayer, right? And if you're not keeping the law, your prayer is pretty much like an abomination to him, right? So it's like you want to make sure that you're at a good place to where you can pray for him. You might, hey, a brother might ask you to pray for him to help him with certain things that he's going through, and you want to make sure that, to tell the truth, you want to make sure that your prayers reach past the roof, right? You want to make sure that the Most High is able to hear you while somebody is confiding in you, so you can help them, right? I'm gonna give the last one. 2 Timothy 2:22. Flee also youthful lust, but follow righteousness, faith, charity, peace with them that call on the Lord out of a pure heart. And that's the thing. You want to have a pure heart. Fasting will help you spiritually and will help you physically, health wise as well. Therefore, helping you endure, which will help you prepare for Satan's devices.
Mighty points, right? Um, Brother Kasadi, you said you had one more precept, or you talking about one more time around?
True. One more time around, honestly.
Okay, con. Right. So there are some mighty points brought out by Brother Ash, right? And if you want to see, how to fast, why we fast, and everything like that, Brother Potter just brought one out on the Clubhouse, right? So tap into that and go watch that. Endurance, right? He was tapping into endurance and how it's very important to enduring this thing, right? When standing against the wiles of the devil. Because hey, what what person that's battle tested spiritually is out of shape, right? So it's very important that we work out spiritually so that we can withstand, right, and we can continue fighting mightily against these spiritual principalities, right, that stand in the way of the kingdom. What I want to encourage is when we put on that whole armor of God, right, we have to put our vest on, right, and pick up our shield. Right, so let's get there real quick and go back to Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 14. It says, stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth. Now, what is truth? Right? Let's go to John chapter 14 and verse 6. It reads, it says, Yahushua saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. If ye had known me, ye should have known my Father also. And from henceforth ye know him and have seen him. Right? So Yahushua, right, is all about his Father's business. Right? It's wrong to think or to say or to teach that Christ has his own doctrine and that things change. Christ is the ideal example. Okay. He is the ideal way to move, to act, to think. Okay. And he is about his Father's business. Right. And we know the will of our Father, right? With was that Psalm 94 and verse 6, I believe. Right. This is how we get the will of it's Psalm 40 and 8. Right. The will of the Father is the most high God's commandments. That is his righteousness. Right. So that is the truth. Okay. Going back to it, it says Ephesians chapter 6, verse 14, stand therefore having your loins girt about with truth, with Christ, and having on the breastplate of righteousness. What is righteousness, right? It is the activity, right? The doings and the performance of the Most High God's law, statutes, and commandments to the best of your ability. All right. Verse 16. It says, above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. Right. So, like we said, these devices serves as the bullets, the darts, right, coming to what penetrate you. But when we have on the armor of righteousness, the helmet of salvation, right? When we have that shield of faith, right, we can withstand. We can actually, prevent these things from penetrating and keeping us and hindering us, right? Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon. All right. I'm going to go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, and I'm going to start at verse 1. It says, Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him, and made no account of his labors. Skipping down to verse 15, it says, But the righteous live forevermore. Their reward also is with the Lord, and the care of them is with the Most High. Right? So the righteous will survive. The ones performing the law, statutes, and commandments to the best of their ability is the ones that's going to survive. Right? Because when we look at in the book of Matthew, I want to say in verse 5, okay? When we start at verse I want to say verse 16, it tells us how, those who teach and actually provoke those to good works and keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High God, those will be found great in the kingdom. Okay. And those that teach against the law, statutes, and commandments and tell people not to perform the law and saying how it's old and done away with, they will be found least. Okay. You understand that they won't make it. All right. We have to understand that the righteous live forevermore. All right. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5 and verse 18, it says, He shall put on righteousness as a breastplate and true judgment instead of an helmet. He shall take holiness for an invincible shield. Holiness, being set apart, keeping those commandments, it sets you apart from what everybody else is doing. You understand? So righteousness, the performance of the law, is your breastplate. It's your protection. It conserves your life. Okay, it serves as that bulletproof vest that you see the officers put on underneath their uniform. So keeping the law, statutes, and commandments keeps your judgment correct. It sets your heart aright, and it protects you from going off. Always putting it in your heart, constantly meditating on it, as the brother was bringing out, right? And we see that in what Joshua 1 and 8, right? Constantly meditating and performing it to the best of your ability. That's gonna conserve your own life. That's gonna protect. Okay. 1 Thessalonians 5 and verse 8 says, But let us who are of the day be sober, putting on the breastplate of faith and love, and for a helmet, the hope of salvation. All right. In order to obtain salvation, right, you have to perform those law, statutes, commandments, and keep them to the best of your ability. All right. And how we have hope is because the Most High God promised it. He said it will be. And this is the same God who has brought us out of the confines of the Egyptian empire. He brought us out of Egypt. So we know, based on many, many, many different accounts written aforetime, that he's going to do everything he says. That's what we have hope in, right? And it says, put on the breastplate of faith and love. Have that unwavering faith, that belief, that confidence that he's going to rescue you and be your refuge, right? And that love, that reverence unto him, keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, right? Be sober, stayed on that, focused on that, right? In a serious manner, right? In the day, be sober, putting on that breastplate, okay? And lastly, I'm gonna go to the book of Sirach, chapter 2 again. I'm gonna start at verse 10. It says, Look at the generations of old and see, did ever any trust in the Lord and was confounded? So did anybody make a blank trip in serving the Most High God? Was anybody let down by the Most High God? So that's the importance of that breastplate of righteousness. When you keep it and you endure and you put your faith in the Most High God, who has promised you everything and has came through every time, you prove your faith in keeping those commandments. It all goes hand in hand, man. That's very important that you put on that vest, that you put on that breastplate, okay? And it says, reading on, or did any abide in his fear and was forsaken? Did he turn your back on you ever? No, he's been with you the whole time. Or whom did he ever despise that called upon him? Hey, he wants us to cry unto him. We are his little children, okay? We are lost sheep. How else is he going to find us? He wants us to cry out unto him, okay, and long for him and reach out to him. That's what he wants. I don't know no father, right? And both of the brothers that I'm doing the work with on this call are fathers. When they get reached out to and when their name is called by their child, it does something to their spirit. So imagine more so to the Most High God. We have to reach out to him and cry unto him, right? It says, who did he ever despise that called upon him? For the Lord is full of compassion and mercy, long suffering, and very pitiful, and forgiveth sins and saveth in time of affliction. He will save us, man. He's going to come through. So put on that breastplate of righteousness, man. Keep his commandment. Do what he tells you to do. Because when we go to Ecclesiastes 12 and 13, it says, look, your only duty, your only assignment. Eve loved to say that. All these little young women, they love to say that. I understood the assignment. He understood this. Okay, your assignment is to keep the commandments of the Most High God. And if you do that, he's going to come through, man. He's never left you. He's never left you alone. No forefather, foremother, right, in the time of old has ever been forsaken. Has never, you don't have nothing to worry about. Do what he tell you to do, man. And the whole duty and the conclusion of the whole matter, put on that breastplate of righteousness and have the shield of faith. It's important that you pick up that shield and put that breastplate on so you can withstand those wiles, so you won't be penetrated by those bullets of Satan. I yield there.
Hey, Khan, that's the spirit for real. Hey, nah, legit, because that's literally what I was going to end on. So, yeah, I got a couple precepts. We can call it there, right? It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 6, verse 24. It says, and the Lord commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear the Lord our God, for our good always, right? That he might preserve us alive as it is at this day. And it shall be our righteousness if we observe to do all these commandments before the Lord our God, as he hath commanded us, right? So again, it all goes back. And it's a running theme for everybody who's been tuning in to Faith by Works over these last few months, right? It's a running theme. It all goes back to keeping his commandments, right? It's again, we bring out the parent-child analogy because that's exactly what it is. As the brother Kazak just brought out, right? We are his little children, right? If your little child does the things that you tell them to do, what? Not only are you going to reward them, but they're going to grow up right in the way that you've envisioned, right? And the Lord envisioned us to be a kingdom of priests, right? A kingdom that pushes righteousness throughout the whole world, right? And that's what he wants to see from us. That's all he wants to see from us, right? And it all goes back to keeping that righteousness, keeping that truth, right? It's the book of Psalms, chapter 119. We'll jump around real quick, right? Psalm chapter 119, start at verse 30, right? It says, I have chosen the way of truth. Thy judgments have I laid before me, right? The ways of truth, the judgments, the laws, statutes, and the commandments, we have to put them in front of us always, right? We have to always be diligent in not only thinking about what's the right way to go, but also moving in that right way, right? Verse 43, it says, and take not the word of truth utterly out of my mouth, for I have hoped in thy judgments, right? We have to have a strong, sincere faith, right? And hope for the Most High to bring upon that righteousness, right? That we all know the Lord's Prayer, right? Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth, right? So that's our hope, that righteous judgment is going to take over this earth, right? And it comes about through this word of truth, right? Verse 142, it says, thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is the truth. Again, it all goes back keeping these commandments, right? 151, Thou art near, O Yahweh, and all thy commandments are truth. Right. So keeping these keeping, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse right now. Like I'm not like Balaam was doing to his donkey, but it all goes back to keeping those commandments, right? And keeping his words. His words are the truth, right? Let me see. We can go to Deuteronomy 8:3, but I want to go to Matthew chapter 4 just so we can see it in action, right? The book of Matthew chapter 8. Salaki, Matthew chapter 4, I mean. Book of Matthew chapter 4. I'm starting at verse 3. It says, and when the tempter came to him, he said, if thou be the Son of God, command that these stones be made bread. But he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeded out of the mouth of the Most High. Right. So this word, this truth, it nourishes us. Right. It strengthens our bodies. It strengthens our spirits. Right. It keeps us going in the right way. Again, it's our parents' guidance to raise us up upright and the vision that he has for us. Right. This is how we become the people who he wants us to be. Right. Keeping his words, keeping his commandments. Right. One more precept, and I'm gonna yield, pass it to the brother Ash. Right. It's the book of Sirach, chapter 24, and start at verse 23. I'm gonna start at verse 22. It says, he that obeyeth me shall never be confounded, and they that work by me shall not do amiss. All these things are the book of the covenant of the Most High God, even the laws which Moses commanded for a heritage unto the congregation of Jacob. Faint not to be strong in the Lord, that he may confirm you. Cleave unto him, for the Lord Almighty is God alone, and beside him there is no Savior. So again, it all goes back to cleaving unto your parent and keeping the what he told you to do, right? And that's how you withstand all of Satan's attacks, right? And with that, I yield.
Con. Once again, mighty good points. So like we had a saying back in the day, you might have heard one, and it says proper preparation prevents poor performance, right? So you want to make sure that you prepare properly before you go in this game, right? And you gotta want to get in this game as far as the spiritual battle aspect against Satan's devices, and you don't want to lose, right? You don't want to get succumb to it. You don't want him to get you, right. So a lot of times the Most High will give you like certain signs, certain ways that you may want to hear and oblige to before going into something, right? I'm gonna precept. He'll always give you a way out, right, before anything happens, right? That voice in your head, your conscience, right? So I'm gonna give you 1 Corinthians 10:13. There hath no temptation taken you, but such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that you may be able to bear it. Right. So he's going to always give you a way out before you fully engage in that temptation. And it's up to you to listen to that voice. Right. That's also goes into preparing before the temptation comes, preparing for Satan's devices. Listen to that voice in the head. I'm gonna tell you, hey man, just put the phone down. Hey man, don't even go over here. Hey man, close your eyes, turn around, walk away, right? Because in this game, in this battle, every time you go off, you're getting Satan to score, right? Every time that you're doing something you're supposed to, Satan scores, right? Every time that you somewhere you ain't supposed to, it's like Satan punched you in the face, right? Like how many times you gonna let him score on you, right? How many times you gonna let him make you out to be his highlight reel? Like, oh man, I scored all over us because he ain't listening, so I'm gonna get him to do this and get him to do that. And it's like you have to make wise choices and wise decisions. And I yield with that because why? Because your soul depends on it ultimately.
It definitely does, King. Mighty points, right? Um, so we want to also encourage you, right, when putting on the whole armor of God to withstand these wiles of the devil, grab your helmet of salvation and holster your sword. Okay. And we're gonna get Ephesians chapter 6 and verse 17. It says, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the spirit, which is the word of God. All right. So we're gonna go to David's prayer, right, in Psalm 62, and we're gonna start at verse 7, right? In reference to salvation. It says, and God is my salvation and my glory, the rock of my strength, and my refuge is in the most high. Trust in him at all times. Ye people, pour out your heart before him. God is a refuge for us, Salah. Right? So that helmet of salvation, right? It's spiritual, right? All of this, the whole armor that we're talking about, it's not going right and going to the pawn shop, right? Or some type of antique shop and finding a Roman armor and getting you a helmet and a Roman armor suit, right? And putting on the stuff that we wore as gladiators. No, it's not saying that. Okay. It's not saying that, not physically. It's spiritual, right? And that spiritual helmet is salvation, keeping your mind on the reward, having tunnel vision for the kingdom of the Most High God, those streets of gold, all right? Living with not a worry, okay? Mothers all the time, right? They cannot be 100% comfortable with their babies playing outside without being present, without knowing, without looking out the window of some sort. Okay. Right. I challenge all mothers right now, right, to let their children go outside. And I want you to cut all of the blinds. I want you to close all of the blinds. Can you sit there in peace? No, you can't. But I bet you can do that in the kingdom. And the kingdom is beautiful. You don't have to worry about nothing. Anxiety is never going to go through the roof. Right. As long as I was out and I had that garage door up and we used to play basketball from sun up to sundown during the summer. My mom, she could not go to sleep until that garage door was closed, the doors were locked, and the alarm was set. In the kingdom, you don't have to worry about things like this. And what the Most High God is saying is that helmet, that spiritual helmet, should be steadfast on salvation, that ultimate reward. Because when your mind on it, you can't be stopped. Speaking in reference to Israel, I can't say the same about all these other nations, right? But us, when our mind is on something, ain't no stopping it. That's just who we are as a people. And that helmet of salvation, the helmet has to be steadfast and focused on the salvation of the Most High, salvation of Israel, I should say, right? Baruch chapter 4 and verse 4, right? O Israel, happy are we, for things that are pleasing to God are made known to us. This right here, right? This is our heritage. These Bibles is written aforetime for our learning, right? All scripture is used for the reproof, for doctrine, for correction. This is our heritage, okay? And it's all glory and honor to the Most High God that He has given us the guidelines. He has given us the ultimate document, the basic instruction before leaving earth, as some would say, right? So it's written, it's right here for us to focus, right? And that is what serves as our sword, okay? That's our protection from all of the wiles of the devil, all of these wicked, all of the devices of Satan, right? In the same chapter, Baruch chapter 4, we're going to read verse 36. It says, O Jerusalem, look about thee toward the east, and behold the joy that cometh unto thee from God. He has it. It's all right here for us. You understand? This is our sword. We have to pick it up and we have to use it in these times of affliction, right? So when you have these urges that the brother Ash was going into and bringing out, let's look into the scriptures on how to deal with these things, because it's all right here. It's all right here. And I guarantee you there's not one forefather, foremother that didn't go through what you're going through. And we see that in what? Ecclesiastes 1 verse 9. It's nothing new here. You understand? Let's get the book of Psalm chapter 53 and verse 6. I'm going to get one more and then that'll be a wrap, right? Psalm chapter 53 and verse 6, it says, "Oh, that the salvation of Israel were come out of Zion. When God bringeth back the captivity of his people, Jacob shall rejoice and Israel shall be glad." Man, that's beautiful. The whole reason why you sparking up a blunt, the whole reason why you snorting white lines, the whole reason why you can't stop eating is because you're going through afflictions. Things are stressing you out. Hey, salvation doesn't include any of that. We will be in rulership, enforcing the laws of the Most High God. And we see that in what? Revelation 13 and verse 8, right? All of those who have forced us into serving them, right? This empire that we go and we put 40, 50, 60 hours in at the plantation, the kingdom that we're building up, the so-called white man's, right? Instead of serving them, they're going to serve us and the Most High God Yahweh. This is what salvation is. This is what that spiritual helmet is. You have to be steadfast, focused on that. Okay? That way, nothing can penetrate. You get that tunnel, as long as you got tunnel vision, you good. Your focus is not going to go elsewhere. You understand? One more, right? This is the book of Sirach, or Ecclesiasticus chapter 19 and verse 19, the classic. It says, "The knowledge of the commandments of the Lord is the doctrine of life." This is your sword. This is your breastplate. This is your heritage. This is how you survive. This is how you formulate your judgment on what to do and not to do. This is how you withstand the wicked devices that penetrate your mind of Satan, right? It says, "And they that do things that please him shall receive the fruit of the tree of immortality." This is how you obtain salvation, by keeping his commandments, enduring. All right. We get one last one, right? And then we'll say shalom. Right. We're going to go to the book of Romans. All right. Chapter 10. And I'm going to start at verse 1. Sincerely, it says what? "Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to God for Israel is that they might be saved. For I bear them record that they have a zeal of God, but not according to knowledge. For they, being ignorant of God's righteousness and doing about to establish their own righteousness, have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of God." Take a knee. Gather yourselves. Okay? Take heed. Observe the current state that you're in. Not only you, but us as a people. Put on your helmet. Put on your breastplate. Pick up your sword and fight these devices, these wicked devices. Yearn for and desire that relationship with your Lord, Yahweh Shah. Be watchful, be vigilant. All right, of all of these devices of Satan. And with that, hey, any brothers got any points?
Let me get one more closer real quick.
Come on,
It's the book of 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Right? I'm gonna jump around just for sake of time. Verse 1, it says, "Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Yahweh Shah HaMashiach, and by our gathering together unto him, that ye be not soon shaken in mind or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter as from us, as that the day of Hamashiach is at hand. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, right? At the end of the day, we all understand that Satan has a people that he's working through, right? And that's pushing all manner of wickedness and promoting it to us like it's good, right? Because Satan transforms itself as an angel of light, right? Jumping down to verse 6, it says, and now ye know what would hold it, that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. At the end of the day, that tempter is going to be taken out of the way, right? And we won't have to worry about those things anymore, like the brother Kazak was bringing out, right? When the kingdom of heaven is established, when the kingdom of Jacob is established, we won't have to worry about these things anymore, right? I'm going to jump down. It says, no, I'm just going to jump down to verse 13 to get the point, right? So we can yield. It says, but we are bound to give thanks always to God for you, brethren, beloved of the Lord, because God hath from the beginning chosen you to salvation through sanctification of the spirit and belief of the truth, right? So that our spirits are made separate, right, from every other spirit that's walking in this world, all the deceived spirits, all of the wicked spirits, right, because of our belief in the truth, and that truth being this word, right, these laws, statutes, and commandments, and Yahawashi HaMashiach crucified. And with that, I hope somebody was edified this week or will be edified in the coming weeks, as long as the internet is around and this video is able to be put up, right? But the water to the mighty brothers, the water, all praises to the Most High God, right, for another lesson, another week. Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom.